YouTube, internet, world. Hello again. It is I, Echo Renaissance. I felt I'd approach you again because, well, people just don't seem to get the point. Um, the fact that it was a specific rebuttal to a specific, particular, and specified speech and location or whatever, it's all irrelevant. Whatever. Jared Taylor, even he's irrelevant. All this is irrelevant nonsense. And past all the garbage that I've had to endure ever since I posted my first videos as Echo Renaissance on YouTube, which included responses such as racial epithets like yard ape and cotton picker and nigger, nigger, nigger. Descriptions as to how my demographic and all related to there too have lower IQs where basically a detriment to society and civilization as a whole. Whatever. I can't say I'm surprised. People are stupid. They're all sold in this racial idea, Hegelian and Heidegger-esque nationalism and all this shit. And people are just dumb. So I think I'm going to have to further elucidate and more clearly and more directly what exactly I'm attempting to approach. And so here we go. No, don't get me wrong. I'm all for human progression. I love the computer that I'm on and the internet that allows me to express myself and experience the expressions of others, the radiator keeping me warm, the refrigerator that keeps my food cool until I cook it on the stove that I also love. I have a ball shampooing and conditioning my hair and brushing my teeth with an electric toothbrush, and all under a steady stream of warm water that's heated with a gas boiler. Believe me, these luxuries are fantastic and they speak volumes for the progress that man has made. It is indeed an honorable thing, and credit should be delivered where it is due. Likewise, I'm willing to admit that the convalescence from primitivism in the form of expendable luxuries and the industrial expansion that makes it all possible, is for the most part a product of the Western world. So here I am saying to you, Anglo-Saxon Protestant, and you, Indo-European industrialist, and you, fair-skinned imperialist, thank you for how far we've come to this point today. Without you, it may still be without air conditioning and cars and airplanes. I'm sure the majority of us thinkers have a basic understanding of amorality and the amorality of taking advantage of anything in order to create something a single group of people conceive as better. Now, let's all be honest here. Just as the road to hell is paved with good intention, there exists the ability to do something good for all of the wrong reasons. Take the emancipation of slavery, for example. Why did the United States free the slaves? Was it sympathy, or mercy, or humanism, or left-wing extremists? No. We all truly know why. It's the same reason why anyone in the world does anything and asks for more power. And how a side expansion does one to accumulate more power? Money. Yes, freeing the slaves yielded more money, and if it isn't obvious enough, the Civil War, as in every war, had everything to do with money and power. The Civil War was divided between the Union, those that decided to do away with the anachronistic slave-fuel agricultural economy and progress to the Industrial Revolution, and the Confederates, who knew that the abolishment of slavery would uproot almost all of their business and render them either an industrial worker or destitute. There is no in between. If it were more profitable or even as profitable, slave trade and slave usage would have continued in the United States, prevailed even until today. But just as the factory worker was later laid off due to mechanical replacements, so were slaves being freed prior. Now dissonance, it outweighs complacency. War outweighs peace. Identity is obscured. Culture is confused for status. And ironically, hundreds of thousands of people live amidst disease, pestilence, and poverty. And thousands more die every single moment that we live as a result. This is all within our country alone. And in a much smaller scale than in the rest of the world. And what could really, truly be the reason behind this terrible state of affairs? Could you really say that it's all money? Is it capitalism and evil democracy and all this other nonsense? No. Race is an idiotic concept derived mostly from nationalistic precepts rooted in Heidegger and Hegelian philosophy. Its basic premise is that people from different geographical divisions with like histories and cultures therein are separate and opposing peoples, meant to pursue like histories and their own progression exclusively at the expense of, or at least without benefit to, the other division of people or other divisions. This has resulted directly in the fall of the Ottoman Empire, the stifling of the resurgence of another Greco-Roman Empire, the birth of colonialism, and a sudden taxonomy of people, determining their quality and worth based entirely on arbitrary trivialities such as appearance. Such is how the world has been shaped for over 300 years. Now, the craziest thing that I came to realize, after posting my initial rebuttals on YouTube, is that it appears to be that the popular belief is that a mass of glowing white angels in uniforms stitched with gold and silk, and cups of tea in one hand and guns in the other, descended upon tribes of cannibals who didn't bathe, slept outside, and spent their lives killing each other, and either saved them or cleansed them. Now, I mean, come on, this is the farthest from the truth, and people should already know that. Whether it was natives in the Americas, Africa, the Middle East, or Asia, those whom the colonists encountered were not extremely unlike the colonists themselves. The countries from whence they came, the colonists, accorded characteristics such as the belief that bathing is unhealthy and the fashionable display of one's genitals below their short-fitting tunics. I mean, frequent and catastrophic epidemics due to unsanitary conditions, including streets lined with refuse and dead bodies and rats. I mean, come on. By today's standards, or any standards for that matter, that is hardly civilized. And likewise, those who they oppressed rarely lived in straw huts, but more often fully fashioned homes built with the resources available to them, and societies complete with governmental systems and trade, much like the Europeans, and in the native countries. The only major differences between the oppressors and those being oppressed were the guns and the colonialist perspectives that the Europeans brought with them. Let's make that clear first and foremost. Now, okay, granted, the Europeans did seem to have a step up on matters such as education, but this could likewise be easily explained. Unfortunately, those who were being occupied, their same dictators had a lot of the same techniques of control that their Anglo-Saxon oppressors used against their own people. Among these control mechanisms included an illiterate and uneducated proletariat, or serf, or lower class, or middle class, or however you want to perceive things. Static in their social status in order to sustain the ruling class's power. Let me give you an example. Nobody knew about the Bible in Europe. Back then, especially in the 16th, 17th, 18th century, even the 19th century, people really didn't read that much because most people were illiterate. They were skilled in a trade taught by their families, and then they moved on, whatever. So they were able to convince them that things like the Inquisition and the Crusades were acceptable because this is what God wants, purely because they were taking the ruling class's word for it as opposed to finding out for themselves. This is exactly what those who were being oppressed by Europeans and colonialists, what they were subjected to themselves. Their same dictators did the same things. This would be exactly why Europeans endeavored to educate those they were occupying. They created dissonance amongst society and they weakened the established government. And of course, it worked like a charm. And of course it worked like a charm. I mean, why wouldn't it? You come in and you say, okay, you guys are all ignorant and I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know. And of course, if you infuse it with your own perspectives and ideology,